Oh, my seat back is way too far back. Wow, I almost just completely wiped out. Ugh.
Finished the Ishikawa quest line. Cool.
That game's really good.
Yeah, I've been playing that more instead of playing on ladder, and it has been a good time.
I have to say that Lady Masako's quest line, I think, was my favorite.
That one hit like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I've mainly just been clearing out Mongol camps for the last couple days, so
I gotta finish the DLC.
I haven't gotten very far into the quests.
I haven't started the DLC. I'm disappointed that the new technique in the DLC is just horse stuff, because I don't really like fighting on horseback.
The content itself is good. The gameplay additions whatever, but it's more Tsushima.
I mean, if you just get more of the good thing, then it's fine. You don't need extra rainbow sprinkles on top of your decadent ice cream.
I mean, I like rainbow sprinkles. That's not a great example.
I mean, you do. It's you know what? It's like marshmallow blasted Fruit Loops. Like Fruit Loops are already so sugary. You add marshmallows in and you don't even taste them.
Okay.
You'll just have to take my word for this one.
Is this a real thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That seems illegal.
It should be. But that's it's like a legit. I'm not making this up. This is legitimate.
I believe you, but I'm unsettled.
I think we have some in the closet right now, or maybe Frosted Flakes with marshmallows.
This is why other countries look at our breakfast and are like, "That's not breakfast. That's dessert." What?
Yeah, it's there's Wheaties and then there's diabetes is what you have there.
Yeah.
But whatever. The children run around doing so much anyway that fine. You want to have sugary cereal for when you're waking up at 5:30 in the morning to go to school, then fine.
5:30. Jeez, what's
yeah. Yeah, the bus leaves at 6:45.
Cool.
I mean, 5:30 is when they're supposed to get up. Normal there, and then there's also when I lumber up there at 6:20 to say, "Hey, you need to get your ass on the bus."
If I wanted to wake up at that hour, I would need to be marshmallow blasted, so I understand now.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You also would be kind of Fruit Loops at that point.
Hello, Celeste. Yes. I don't know where you started listening, but I understand your confusion about the context.
Yes. This is just some of the value that I bring to the podcast. Hot cereal takes. So I guess it's cold cereal takes, but hot takes about cold cereal.
I pretty much just do oatmeal for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my box of plain rice Chex because that's basically the only cereal I can eat now. So.
Yeah. Oh, we just got a new patron just now, just in time. I'm glad I'm late because now we get to say their name.
You're not late. You arrived exactly when you intended to.
No, I intended to be here about 10 minutes earlier. I am explicitly late.
Yeah.
Someday, Patreon will let me decide when I log in if I want to default to Patreon, and then it'll be better.
But aren't you already in Patreon when you log into Patreon? Why would you have to default to Patreon?
Because I log back and forth between multiple podcasts, and every single time you log in, you default to patron, and I want to be default to creator.
Patron, not patron. Patron, not Patreon. Oh, patron within Patreon. Oh, this is gonna be a
when
show.
I log in as Coin Concede or Angry Chicken, I default to the person that gives money, and I want to default to seeing who is giving me money so I can say their names on the show. It's an extra 3 clicks every time I log in, and I won't have it.
May I recommend an auto hotkey / what the hell is the thing on Mac? Keyboard Maestro macro. Have I told you about Keyboard Maestro?
You haven't. I'm probably not going to set it up.
Okay. Oh, you either are not going to set it up or you're going to lose like a week in it, one or the other. The one thing that I have found it useful for is for launching Deck Tracker automatically when I launch Hearthstone.
I just leave it open.
That just happened.
Leave open Deck Tracker?
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah.
I thought it closes on Mac whenever you close the client.
Oh,
that's a setting in the settings menu.
Oh, so I'm just dumb. Okay, that makes sense. So I, in typical neurodivergent fashion, crafted an entire automatic workflow to compensate for the fact that I set a setting wrong and forgot that it existed. Excellent.
Is this surprising?
No, not at all. I mean...
Also, I don't know how I closed all my tabs, and now I have too many tabs to keep track of here, but whatever.
Yeah. I also had it set up a key shortcut so I could just take a screenshot of the Hearthstone window, but then that broke like a year ago, and I never fixed it.
CleanShot X. Good app. Big fan.
CleanShot X, you say? Is it free?
Yep. No.
Oh.
$10.
Oh. I don't know if I play on my laptop anymore enough to justify.
Well, it's a global screenshot app. It's not a like I wanted ShareX on Mac, and the thing that I noticed on Mac is that the things will look much nicer in the menus and also cost $10 instead of being free compared to the Windows version. Basically,
because there's a lot fewer people using them.
Everything is curated and looks really nice and is polished and also costs money. So like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, what's another $10?
I mean, it's $10. I recognize that I'm in a privileged position to be able to pay $10 for a screenshot app and be like, yeah, it's fine. But also, like, it's a good screenshot app. I don't know.
I mean, that is the quintessential Mac OS experience, though. So you're just kind of embracing it. I mean, I spent a lot of money on Rogue Amoeba apps back when I was running the whole workflow for the old podcast off of my MacBook. So.
Let's see here.
And I still do miss Audio Hijack on Windows, but
Okay. Let me make sure I have my browser set up correctly.
Matt, shouldn't that be called Lockup Lock? Instead of Jailer Warlock? We should call that Lockup Lock.
Too many locks.
Yeah.
All right.
No, the Pocket Cast people are good people. So that's money well spent, Matt.
Testing, make sure all my stuff is doing what it's supposed to do.
Oh, I should open up like an Audacity. That's a good idea.
Yes, you should do things.
I think that's my problem is I've been doing too many things. I need to do fewer things.
All right.
Wait, what's 24.6?
24.6 is the next patch, the next major patch.
For bad deck diet and gaming diets, nobody talks about work diets because you know, I think the thing that goes along with work diets is more marshmallow blasted Fruit Loops. So, you know, very few people go on them.
All right. We ready to do the thing?
I am ready to press the button.
Okay. Why do I have all these things open? I'm going to close these things. I have so many tabs open I just haven't needed.
That's this like my perpetual state of being.
Okay, this one, I'm going to post this in Twitter because there was a comment, there was a tweet where, like, apparently in a Berkeley City Council meeting, there was discussion of the Radical Bike Lobby. So someone made a Radical Bike Lobby shirt, and it looks radical.
That is amazing, actually.
Yes, it's pretty radical.
I fully intend to like get all my Chosen and Blood family in on the whole cargo bike thing as second vehicle, and we'll just change our area. People will be like, "What is that you're riding?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a cargo e-bike. It's great."
All right.
So we live too far away from anything to ride a bike anywhere. So
sad.
How we good? We ready?
I have pressed the button.
All right.
Recording.
Recording. All right. Is this the right tab? Nope, it wasn't. All right. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Putting the show in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Shadows hide you. I am listening. Our paths converge.
So good to see you.
Hail to you. Never lose hope.
Here for a chat.
I hear you. It has only begun. Fight on, friend!
Hello and welcome to episode 365 of Coin Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday the 13th. Ooh, spooky. From Gadsden, New York, it's me, Ridiculous Hat. From Nomergon, Ohio, we've got Edelweiss.
Hello.
Hello. And from Northern Massachusetts, we've got Wicked Good.
Hi.
And listener, where you are, we have you. Thank you so much for being here. Special thanks to our new patrons this week, Hustle and Buckles, who, I think Contig said in the chat, sounds like a cartoon duo. I would watch that show. I would watch the Hustle and Buckles show. But thank you both so much for being here, for supporting us. Thank you, everyone that's listening. Thank you, everyone that supports us. Thank you, everyone that left a review. Really helps people find the show. Life and Ladder. Edelweiss.
So I've just been sort of settling into life as a nanny for my nephew. It's I think I mentioned before, but that's like my full-time job now, and I'm finally adjusting to the whole, waking up at 7 a.m. thing and like having the energy to get through the day. It helps to not be sick. I think that that helps pretty significantly.
Most things are helped by that.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, it also helps to have like an agenda and do different stuff each day, so that because he's 8 months, he doesn't care, but I get bored. So there's a children's museum in my city that we visited. That I think I'm gonna go to the art museum. Just been doing all kinds of stuff. The art museum here is free, so been going on lots of walks, which has been great. I have developed a very, very protective urge, and I'm not sure if this will come across properly through the mic. But I made a heck of a sound when there was a dog, not like a massive dog, but a pretty big dog, barking at us as I was walking him, and there was no leash or anything. It was just in the yard. I want to assume there was an invisible fence, but I didn't know. And yeah, my weirdo response was to just turn to the dog and do this. So, and it stopped barking. So
that was not a sound bite. That was not processed. That was just the thing that she did with her face.
Yes.
Yes, that came across.
I want to run away into the house after hearing that. So yeah.
Have you considered voice acting?
I have, but I don't know. It feels like a hard thing to break into. I don't know. Maybe exclusively animal sounds. We could go for that.
If you want an audition, you have the raw audio of this, of what you do. Well, have you played any video games, or are you just?
I have not.
Dogs?
I mean, obviously, still doing some Ghost of Tsushima. That's my chill out. Just at this point, my build in that game is you down a couple enemies, and then the rest of them just flee in terror. So that's cool. But in terms of Hearthstone, I've been playing just value Renathal decks. I feel like, I don't know how I feel about this paladin, but it does feel somewhat similar to the control shaman. I don't think it's quite as effective, but it's interesting. And I have to decide whether I like that one with Denathrius or my Jailer deck better. Still kind of figuring that out. And then I played a bit of the 40 card jackpot rogue with secrets as well. So that's been fun. I'm not enthused about the resurgence of ramp druids that I've been seeing. I don't know if that's just my poor luck, but that is not usually good for the decks that I've been enjoying playing right now. Because them having twice my mana doesn't really end well for me.
Just steal a guff. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not playing priest, so you can't do that. Never mind. Not anymore.
Now, when you say resurgence, do you mean today after the patch or before the patch?
This was before the patch.
Yeah.
I don't think I've played since the patch.
Yeah, it's only been out for a couple of hours since as we're
3.5.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's most of our discussion today is going to be pre-patch. I think I played 2 games post-patch, maybe. I didn't play against Hunter or Theotar either time because I was not playing decks that cared about either, and Hunter didn't come up. Steve, what you been doing?
Well, I've been trying to stay on the no bad decks diet. So I actually just jammed a bunch of Naga Priest on stream Monday night, and I queued into a Renathal Thief Vandar Secret Rogue. And apparently, if you serrated Bone Spike before you play the Vandar, you don't need to worry about how much the minions in your deck cost.
Well, they all need to cost 3 or more.
Yeah, which
you'll
is not
find
hard
out
to do.
why I know that right away during my life and ladder section.
Yeah. Well, so
they weren't. Yeah. Steve, I bet they were not Maestra.
They were not, because
they can't be.
I was saving. Because I remember saying at the beginning of that game, they're showing me that they're rogue. I'm terrified. And I am going to keep the things to kill them as quickly as possible. Because, first of all, I'm not playing a slow, dirtily control priest for once. And I don't know what they're up to, but whatever it is, I'm not going to like it. And I was correct. I got Ghastly Gravedigger twice. And as predicted, I did not enjoy that experience. And then I finally got a board down and forgot that Scabs is still a card. So I did my best Captain Picard facepalm impression. and have not played Hearthstone since then until the patch. I basically took the next couple of days off of ladder after that. Not strictly because of that, just because like this week has been a lot, and I have not been in a great state mentally. But I mentioned last week that I got up to platinum 199 LP in TFT. I did get over the line and get myself into diamond. So I was pretty happy with that. So I've been playing some more TFT, and then Edel reminded me that I'm only about halfway through Ghost of Tsushima. So I've been playing a fair amount of what Twin B calls the goofy ghost game, because apparently everything is. They use the word goofy like the Smurfs use the word Smurf. Like it's just everything is goofy, and it just means everything apparently. Because this is how I know I'm old, because I don't know what's happening anymore. But yeah. So, I'm looking forward to going back in post patch. I'm hoping that there's a lot more aggro, so I can play slow priest decks and wreck a lot of things and make a lot of people upset. But or I'll just end up playing the good decks and be a responsible adult, though I really don't want to. So.
Well, I appreciate your responsibility. I'm going to set a bad example. So, I have been... So, okay, first of all, the thing that I'm playing the most in Hearthstone, it is still Battlegrounds. Which, this never happens. Never happens. I am at the point where I'm going to make the bold statement that I think Battlegrounds quests are the best thing to happen to Hearthstone this year. And I understand that's a big statement, but like the next set's going to have to do a lot of work to undo that, because I am still playing a major BG's patch after a mini set. 6 weeks later, I'm still playing a lot of it. They balanced it again. They like constantly tweak it because they can do all the quest tweaking server side. But it's just really fun. My wife is still playing it every day. There is a lot of Battlegrounds in our house right now. Still, I am enjoying Standard. I am looking forward to post-patch. Like, it's, we're in the doldrums a little bit right now. We're probably going to get the next set announcement within 2 to 3 weeks. My projection originally for 24.6, which is the pre-patch, was October 25th, but I think it's much more likely to be the following week now. Like, maybe it's that 27th, because they seem to have shifted their cadence for the last couple balance patches to Thursdays, and they work in 2-week sprints. But it could easily be the following week, November 1st, I guess. I don't know. Somewhere between the 25th and the 1st. That's when I expect us to get the next set announcement in the pre-patch expansion, because it's pretty much on target with the mini set came out October 4th. 4 weeks.
Have we ever had a year where they did not do a Halloween event? I forget what we call it, but
Hallows Eve. You're right. So
yeah,
they're probably going to aim for that last week of October, then, right?
Yeah,
because they want to have it in the game.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's like dual class arena. They do like quest lines and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time that we didn't have one of those events, and that's generally like a big thing. So I would be surprised, because they can't really let that go into November. Then it's just weird, right? So
I mean,
I would. Yeah.
They could, but I think they don't want to. It's
right.
Like, typically it would be the beginning of October, but yeah, it's they want the events to be in month 4. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So I'm expecting them the last week of October. And I will point out as well, they've been very hinty lately on social media. They being the people that make Hearthstone. There was a thread that I think Martian Boo tweeted of, what's the card you're most nostalgic for that doesn't see play in Wild right now? I tweeted Dark Peddler, which I miss a lot. That was from the first set that Discover came out in League of Explorers, a 2-mana 2/2 Warlock card that Discovers a 1-mana card. Very, very good card. Had the Discover bonus back then. There were like Burst Zoo Warlock decks that would discover Power Overwhelming or Soulfire because you got the class bonus. You would play it in Handlock. Like you would Peddler on 2, tap 1 drop on 3. It was a really, really good card. And they deleted the class bonus. They don't allow, like, it couldn't discover itself, but It isn't the caliber of card that sees play in Wild right now. So I tweeted that card. Matt London, who you may know as the Mode's lead designer, replied and said, could use an extra point of health. Are they going to buff Arena Wild cards? Maybe. Seems like a Hallows End sort of thing to do. And Dark Peddler would fit in Halloween. He's pretty spooky. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do.
I mean, if he was that spooky, he'd be a mage card.
No. Modern design. This is the old school. This is old cards. Anyways, no idea. I forget. I don't even know how I got here. What was I talking about before? Battlegrounds.
About patch timing is what you were talking about.
Patch timing. Thank you. So, anyways, the patch before today, I was playing. So, your bad deck diet, no bad decks. I picked him up for you. I got you covered. So.
Oh, good.
So this Vandar Secret Rogue list is a Vicious Syndicate list that was going to get put in the report this week, but then there were changes. They didn't do a report this week. It plays Field Contact. It
sure does.
So I have missed Field Contact tremendously. The first game I picked up with this, I lost to a Hunter. Okay. The second game I picked up with it, I was against a Shaman or something. I was against a Relic DH that had this crazy huge board. I'm like, how am I going to possibly win? Except I had done Step Vandar on 4, Vandar on 5. On my 6-mana turn, I top-decked Edwin, Defias, whatever his name is. So, Vandar, for those of you that... Defias Kingpin. Vandar, for those of you that don't remember, 4-mana 4/4. When you play it, if it's cheaper than all the minions in your deck, they all cost 1 less. So I drew a 1-mana Edwin. My deck was full of minions, and they all cost 3 less. So I flipped the board that turn, and I believe made a 16/16 Edwin along with 6 other minions, and killed some of their stuff. I ended up winning that game. The next game, played against Asmodai. I had Coin Spike Vandar on 3. I won that game too. Not all of my games have gone that well. You can win without drawing Vandar, but it really helps. You want to. That's been enjoyable. But then I also got that new legendary quest that had us play infused cards. Infused cards. You have to finish infusing them. And so Kibler got to legend with a token DH. A token Demon Hunter. It is very infusy. It plays double Urzul Giant. Murlocula is Priest of the Deceased. You know. I am 3-1 with it in top 200. So, I don't know if it's good, but I'm winning with it. Playing some of that. And then also there was a Jailer Warlock list going around that, it's an imp heavy deck. It's Jailer Handlock, really. You play Dark Alley Pact, you play Imposter, whatever. It doesn't play Theatar because you don't have the time for it. But I played it, and the first game I played it, I fatigued a Hunter out and killed him. So, I don't know. You can do a lot in Standard right now. I think that there's a lot of opportunity. The changes that we're going to talk about, they are intended to be smaller nudges that change the format context a little bit, but not change how the decks play out and feel to play, and what's important, which is board-based gameplay. That's not going to change, but I feel fairly confident you can brew a good bit in the Standard and have some reasonable success, considering that I'm talking about winning in top 200 with Vandar Secret Rogue and Token Demon Hunter. If I can do it, you can too, listener. I believe in you.
I was just looking back at the game that I played, and they played on turn 6, 0-mana Field Contact into a bunch of stuff, into 0-mana Bran Little Scabs, and then 3 of the 2/5s that copy themselves. Well,
he's not a bad
because it's combo. It's combo, yeah.
But you made a bunch of Scuttlebutt ghouls.
But the Bran Akani at the end of it was that they were able to fit in also, so that was fun. And
Bran plus Okani is Brokani. Because you get
it Brokani my spirit is what it did, and so I yeah, and you know how much I love playing against rogue decks that do a bunch of BS. That's my favorite. So it was, you know, I wasn't even playing, and I wasn't even playing like a dirtily deck where you could just say, well, yeah, you should just get them and play a real deck. Like I was actually playing a real deck and still got smacked upside the head. So
sometimes they have the Vandar.
Sometimes they have it.
Also been playing a bunch of Marvel Snap. Because I am actually struggling to rank up in that game until I discovered a goofy Ultron deck. That game comes out in 5 days. Like, everyone can play it in 5 days. So, my early recommendation, fun game, try it out. If you want to spend money, buy the Welcome Bundle and or the Battle Pass. Probably don't spend more, unless you really know that you're going to dig it, and you'll know that. If you hear it and then want to ignore it, then feel free. That means you're probably pretty invested in the game. A lot of people that are in our server that played a lot of Hearthstone before found Snap to be pretty compelling. I will say the collection is, give it a little bit of time before you spend money beyond the Welcome Bundle and the Battle Pass. But fun game. Talk about it in our Discord. There are a lot of very active players in there, including myself. And it should be out on... This is a global launch, full release. You can get it anywhere, everywhere, whatever. I've been playing it since end of May. Still playing it every day. Fun game. All right. Well, time to talk about news, which we've already kind of talked about. But let's talk about it more.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
There was a patch today. Data-only client patch. You shouldn't need anything from any app store, Play Store, whatever. You open the client, it thinks for a second, it downloads some stuff, unpacks some crates, and then you have updates. They changed some stuff in Standard. They changed some stuff in BGs. Keep in mind, this is an asset patch. They can change cards and stuff, but they didn't change the actual executable, so any client bugs or whatever can't really be fixed in this patch if there are any that are sticking around. I know there are a couple of them. In particular, the main one that I know about right now is if you go to Dust Cards, the first time you go to Dust a card, it will immediately give you the pop-up of, are you sure you want to dust this? Because it'll give you less than you have playable in the standard deck. Even if you have like 8 or 9 copies, it'll give you the pop-up right away, and then it won't give you the pop-up again when you get down to 2 copies. So if you don't pay attention, you can dust all of your copies. So just be aware of that. But that can't be fixed, but I don't think there are any other major client bugs that I can think of right now.
Yeah, and I mean, if that happens to you, especially if you're doing that with like the change cards, you can just recraft them. Like,
yes,
no harm, no foul.
But if you're doing that with something, like if you like to keep your extra copies and you're doing that with an adjacent card in Hunter, for example, and then you keep pressing dust, then you will lose the cards.
Yep.
So they know about it. Can't fix in this patch. Hopefully coming next patch in 24.6, which is soon. All right. Let's start with a comment here. This comment's important. So the meta is relatively stable right now with just a few outliers. Our goal with this patch is to reduce frustration and give weaker decks a bit more breathing room by reducing the overall power level of Hunter. The one notable outlier that is not getting changed, but which we are keeping a close eye on, is Prince Renathal. He is powerful and popular, but we don't want this patch to completely shake up the meta, because we have something fun coming in patch 24.6, and we want to see how Renathal performs in the next expansion before making changes to him. Okay. There is a lot to unpack here. We're gonna just focus on Renathal up front. Feelings. Edelweiss. Renathal feelings. Do you think they should have changed him? Are you okay with him? Start there.
I mean, I honestly would have been really surprised if they changed him, just because, as we talked about, I think, last week, it's a challenging card to balance, right? You can do the amount of life, you have to do more cards, but it's a huge swing. Like, anything that is not a multiple of 5 would just be bizarre, and that's kind of a unusual situation for balance, right? If you said, well, let's do 37 life, and like, what? That's, it's not that usual case where you can just, tweak a number by 1 or 2 or something.
They could. It would look weird, but remember how weird it was to get 9 mana in N'Zoth? Like, it was, it was funky.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it said, like, set your life total to 37, that would be just, like, a new player would log in and be like, why is this 37?
Like, did somebody just watch Clerks before they push the thing into source control? Like, what's going
man.
Oh dear. So yeah, I think it's a weird card to change for that reason. And the other thing is, again, like we mentioned last week, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of Renathal decks, but I don't necessarily feel like. I think it kind of swings what are the like high performers. I feel like Mage is better 30 right now, although I guess some people might argue that point. Shaman is definitely 40, but not a ton of people play Shaman. There has been the rise of a Paladin that's 40. Like, I feel like that we just got maybe a few more new 40 card decks, but I don't feel like it is like a for sure power outlier. Like, it's definitely a powerful effect, but I think sometimes people just want to include more cards, and so now they have this inclination to just like, oh, print Renathal, and now I can fit everything because making cuts is hard, and that's not always going to be the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are definitely some people who like all-in aggro decks, and that is life is harder for them.
It's not really.
It's
yeah. People have
I
been saying this all
you.
day on Twitter, Steve. I didn't lose to Renathal. I lost to turn 4 Mountain Bears. Like, I got to Legend within Rage Warrior because all of the Renathal ramp druids were slow when they hit them in the face. It's not 40 life. It is the decks that are too good, even when they have 10 extra cards in their deck, because their cards are too good, like Wild Seeds and Harpoon Gun into Cheap Beasts. They fixed that, but I was doing just fine against other Renathal decks. I have no problem playing against Renathal Spooky Mage. I have no problem playing against, like, Thief Priest was not good against aggressive decks. Really, really not good against
Thief Priest wasn't good against anything unless you were Tic Tac. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But
like, Quest Priest wasn't doing all that great against aggressive stuff. Even if you exclude the fact that Curse Imp Warlock attacks those decks in a different angle, you can beat these Renathal decks pretty easily by playing minions. And if they're good against minions, it's not because of the 10 extra life. It helps. But I didn't lose to that. I lost to Hunter because they did Hunter stuff, and then they nerfed 3 cards in the deck. Well, it's 2.5. You know what I mean. They nerf stuff.
I guess more of the concern, the more valid concern, I think, is that we might start to be getting close to a game length issue, right? With where the games are just going to naturally take longer. On average, if you have to go through 10 more life, it's going to take a little bit longer. And if you have 2 Renathal decks going up against each other and there's enough of them, then we start getting into like the Genbaku era where the decks just went a really long time because there was just that much more value. I don't know that we're there. I mean, I think that, again, I agree with you that I think most people were like, I don't think most people are really frustrated with like 40 card Spooky Mage necessarily, right? It's Hunter. Like, Hunter was the problem. And Hunter just had too much good stuff, and it wouldn't all fit in a 30 card deck, basically. And it just kind of needed that extra turn or two to get to like turn 7 when all the big boys come online.
Well, Hunter also, the 10 life mattered so much more for Hunter because you didn't have to trade as much early. You got to be so much more proactive, so the extra life let you be less interactive as a minion deck because you would just hit him in the face because you were going to get your Mountain Bears online anyways. Why bother trading?
Right. Yeah. So I think that's kind of a special case where I don't like a lot of the Renathal decks. They're fine. I don't think that they're not generally power outliers like Hunter was. And Hunter wasn't a power outlier because of Renathal. Hunter was a power outlier because of Hunter. So, I think it's wise to give it a little bit more time. I mean, this seems like a light touch patch anyway. And so like if you're gonna change, like changing Renathal will be a major meta shift because you're hitting a ton of decks. Whether or not those decks are good enough or not is kind of irrelevant, but you're touching a lot of decks and making, because the only numbers you can change on it are the life and the cards, right? Like the casting cost doesn't matter, the stats on the minion don't matter. Like we played Baku the Moon Eater, which was like a 9 mana 7/9 or whatever, you know, back in the day, and it was fine, right? Like nobody cares about the stats on the minion. It's really just cards and life, and that means either you're cutting down on probably both or you're raising both. Because, you know, I mean, maybe you could go up to like 45 cards with 40 health. Like, I don't know how you, like, those are the only real way. Like Edo was saying, you have to go up by 5 somewhere, and it's like the changes that you're going to make are going to be really significant to a large number of decks because of the fact that it's a neutral legendary that fits into a fair number of decks and people like to play it.
Yeah, I'll push back on the aesthetic criticisms. Like, if they need to make it a weird-looking card to make Standard more balanced, they'll weirdify it. They don't got any problem with breaking the symmetry in those numbers. Like, just make it 35 health, 40 cards. It'll read worse, but no one will care because they won't play it, and so then it doesn't matter. I don't think there is much of a need. If you're nerfing this card, it's because people are sick of seeing it, and so you want it to be seen a lot less. Make it worse. Yeah. 35 health, 40 cards, you have made it worse. It will see a lot less play. There will be some decks that decide they really want that 5 extra health, and it will matter, but there's a big sacrifice to be made there, and the benefit is smaller. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's zooming out a bit, looking at this patch, they changed 4 total cards. Smaller changes, except for Stag Spirit, oddly enough. This is meant to change the shape and context of the format a little bit, but not a lot. If you disliked the format before the patch because of how the decks played, you are not going to change your mind if you log in today. This is a minion-heavy format with limited damage from hand. That's not changing, and I don't anticipate that changing until they put in a new set, assuming that they want the new set to do something different. This is roughly how they wanted the meta to look. They got what they wanted. It doesn't have to be for everyone. It isn't. But this is changing the context, but not the general shape of what decks are going to look like right now. So don't view this as a transformative thing. What I really liked in the last patch and what I really like in this patch is the focus on the buzzword high confidence changes. Go back and think about what Voyage was like during this time. It was dizzying. This era was the 3rd of 4th metas in 8 weeks. This era, right after the balance change after the mini-set, we had the pre-mini-set balance change, then the mini-set would change stuff, then the post-mini-set balance change would change a lot of stuff, and then Renathal would change a lot of stuff. That was 8 weeks, 4 metas, way too much. The past couple patches, they've changed how things feel, but I don't feel like I have to start over. And I really like that it's been easier to keep up with, and I know what I'm getting. And this format, in the grand scheme of things, it is what it is. It is well crafted for what it is. There is variety. There's interesting stuff to do. There's some balance. If you're looking for From Hand, you're missing it. They don't want that right now. I'm sure it'll come soon, hopefully the next expansion. But this is intentional design. If you like what this format's about, it does it very well. And if you don't, just like other metas that haven't always been for me, this one might not be for you, listener, and that's okay. It won't be this way forever. But I think it's pretty hard to justify this format as problematic in any way. Just, some people are getting bored of it, some people have been bored of it. Understandable. It's not a wrong opinion, but it doesn't mean the format is fundamentally flawed either.
And I think that part of it is also, like, the mini set was less impactful than other mini sets. So
yes,
if the decks do feel kind of samey, this is how the old metas used to feel before we had mini sets and events and whatever, right? Where we'd be playing the same decks for a couple months on end with some changes or not. But I think that there is a little bit of like cabin fever with the decks that we have because they've been pretty much the same decks. But that's not necessarily a bad thing for everyone. And I think it's also worth thinking about like where we were at this time last year, because that kind of informs what the design philosophy might have been, because this time last year was all Garrett Rogue and Quest Demon Hunter, right? Like it was all from hand. So there's been a pretty clear movement in the other direction to not go back there. And you could argue whether that's too heavy-handed or not. But I mean, it's definitely a clear contrast from where we were at this time a year ago.
I don't envision it staying this way forever, and I would not be surprised if they have a meeting in a couple months and they look back and they say, we might have overdone it on the disruption. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, luckily, not all of it ended up being super impactful. Meltraxus has yet to completely lock out hands routinely, and in fact, I think the most upset I've been with Meltraxus has been when I've been the person playing it. Because it just I got it.
Why did they get to play 6 cards?
I got it played against me when I was the druid, and my left card, I had 11 mana, and I had been holding a Druid of the Reef on the far left next to my infused Insatiable Devourer. So I ended up spending 12 mana that turn, despite being Meltraxus. It's not reliable enough to disrupt from in the decks that we've seen so far. So, you know, I'm glad that some of the stuff hasn't necessarily landed, but they printed a lot of disruption. I wouldn't be surprised the next set has some, and I wouldn't be surprised as well if after this they're like, we can probably pull it back a little bit and do a little bit more from hand. Because when you have this much disruption, it just, combined with neutral legendaries, there are a lot of neutral legendaries, then the decks, like you said, start to feel samey. I think that is my biggest problem with Renathal, honestly. It makes the format so much more expensive. There are a lot of like 15,000 dust decks. I was looking at...
There were definitely some, like 20,000 plus. I saw a couple of lists on the Masters Tour this weekend because they post the dust cost. There were definitely like one that was at least 22K. And it's like, I never thought about it before. Like, that's a lot.
So the Vicious Syndicate Big Beast Hunter list, the most common one, the one that still runs the Double Devourers, whatever, doesn't run Theatar. It has 12 legendaries in it. And of course, there's the argument of, oh, well, you know, a bunch of those are free. And I looked. Oh, yeah, 4 of them are free and 1 of them is core, which leaves a paltry 7 collectible legendaries that you need for that deck. That's a lot. I don't know if I'm going to say explicitly too many, but like, we're asking people to make the Rat King. I think that might be the line.
Well, and also it makes the neutral legendaries played more because there's more room for them.
Yes.
Right? In a 40-card deck. Like in a 30-card deck, you might leave out something like, I don't know, Sylvanas the Accused or whatever, right? Because or Okani is a good example, right? Like Okani is a card that you may run or you may not in a 30-card deck. 40-card deck, you're probably just going to run him because you got room, right? Like there are some choices there, but you see a lot of the same cards because they're neutral. And because there are 40-card decks that have room for them, you see a lot of the same cards over and over again. A lot of decks throw Denathrius in as a win condition just in case, right? So, you know, even though there may not be 100% set up for it, but, you know, hey, if it gets 10 to 15 damage, it's enough, right? So that's something that also does make it feel a little bit samey.
In addition, there's more to this sentence that we'll spend another bunch of minutes discussing. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
We don't want this patch to completely shake up the meta because we have something fun coming in patch 24.6 and we want to see how Renathal performs in the next expansion before making a change to it. Okay. So the last 0.6 patch, which this is usually the patch they give us a pre-order legendary, the last 0.6 patch did not have any explicit mention of anything fun coming and gave us Renathal. That was the unannounced 1-card infusion. So this is bigger than that. Whatever this is, I'm not ready for it. I assume it's going to be large, and I assume it's part of the reason why they made small changes. There has been, so listeners, if you don't want to hear about rumors, we don't have any official sources. We don't have anything corroborated. We don't know if anything is happening. We're going to briefly discuss some rumors here because they are very loud today. Very, very loud today. So, the rumor that's been going around for months now is that the next expansion will have a new class, and the current rumor is landing on Death Knight. We don't know this, but there have been rumors that have been floating around. Been going around for a while. Ixar did say in an AMA late last year, early this year, that there would be a larger than usual third set. A larger than usual expansion for the third set of this year. We don't know if it's a new class at all, but we know there are going to be more cards in it. We don't know this Death Knight. I wouldn't be surprised. This is the most fabulous juke ever, and it's like it's Evoker to match up with the Dragonflight expansion in WoW. Could be anything.
And the fact that they just launched Breath of the Lich King Classic.
Yeah,
right? Which
that
is where
too.
Death Knights got introduced.
Though, I have difficulty believing in that much cross-team coordination. That seems unrealistic at best.
I mean, sometimes you just get lucky,
Maybe. It's just like the amount of meetings that would be required to plan that, and then both teams have to not change plans. It seems it's plausible, unrealistic.
You're killing my dreams of getting Kiriko in Hearthstone. Come on.
It could be an Overwatch tie-in. Probably not. Maybe just get all the Battle Pass complaints into one app and then push it off to sea. I don't know.
I mean, May would be a fantastic mage card, just saying.
So, Steve, you had mentioned All Hallows Eve, the Hallows End, whatever. Spooky event. Mitchell Lowen, he's a BG's designer. I think 24.6 is going to be pretty cool. This is all he said. We're going to read way too much into this now. So, the rumor has been that we're getting the Death Knight class next expansion. Unconfirmed, but we know for sure the next set is larger than usual. Don't know what that means, but we know for sure. The rumor that has come up today on Twitter and Discord and a bunch of different places is that with 24.6, they're going to bring the Death Knight cards back to standard in preparation for the Death Knight class. The 9 original Death Knights and Knights of the Frozen Throne. So, Blood River Gul'dan has been my go-to example of a card that would have been nerfed under current philosophy that never was in the old days. We might get to test that. I don't know. I am willing to accept any other thoughts on what you all think that these rumors will be.
I mean, okay, pretty cool. So that does seem a bit Northrendy, right? If we're saying Death Knight stuff, is there any other Frost things in Hearthstone, sort of besides Death Knights?
I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, in the words of the poet of our times, Outcast, what's cooler than cool? Ice cold. So
I think this does seem like not completely outside the realm of possibility. We had that period of bringing back stuff from Wild, and they said they like the idea of doing stuff like that, but they would do it over a shorter period if they did it. So maybe a 2-week window or something. I'm curious
between the pre-order and the set coming out, right?
Right. I'm
Which is
curious,
a month, usually.
Though, since we already have a hero per class, like, how would some of these hero cards line up against each other in terms of power level? There's also certain things that just, like, make it completely messy. Sorry, Draco Cat, there was no Demon Hunter class when we had Death Knights, so...
I could see them, if they're going to do this, I could totally see them making one. I would not be surprised.
Maybe. That would be pretty nuts, but... So there's that. There's also the fact that Hunter, Beaststalker Rexxar, pulled from a very specific set of beasts that they locked in time. Would it do that set of beasts? Would you have Vicious Scalehide in Standard only as Build-A-Beast, but then not have any of the standard beasts in there. Like, that would be a whole mess. I feel like that's almost the biggest reason that they wouldn't do that. Unless it was the old beasts.
Like, it seems so complicated, and there would be so much work for a temporary event. I don't know. Now, Matt is right in chat. They changed how Deathstalker works. It just looks at current standard current format beast now. I don't believe that Rexxar is locked in time. I believe that he can discover whatever in Wild. I haven't played with him, but
wait,
yeah. So
they have updated the pool to include every new beast that has been added.
It's not updated. It's dynamic, right? Like it's the same way any card works. It just looks at tags.
They probably just reworked the card. I'm sure that the way that they did it is they just had a list of beasts that was, 5 or less, because that was the way that they were able to do it. And then they realized that was a bad idea when they had a new expansion, and then all of a sudden nothing got added, right? Okay. So they probably changed the code to just say, okay, well, if tribe is beast and mana cost is 5 or less, then it's in there.
Okay, so less. Well, okay, in some ways less crazy. I think they would still have to do a weird thing of making it see everything in Wild and see only standard in standard.
They do it like how a core card works, right? They would add these to core. They would make a copy. They would add them to core because they have to grant them to all players. They can't give us the collectible copies if that's what they did. They would grant it to core for a month. And then that would automatically update the legality because it would align with core. If you played them in standard, it would only see standard stuff, just like any core Discover sees. That's how they would implement it. They would just throw 9 cards in core. Now, I still think it's complicated. I'm still not convinced this is the way they're going to go. It would sure change things, though. If you look at the 9 original Death Knights now, some of them would immediately see play, but like most of them are not up to current power levels.
Yeah. You play Anduin.
He's fine. But I mean, I don't see combo kills with him.
You would throw Anduin in Boon Priest today.
In Boon Priest, he costs 8.
Or like, yeah, because if you need a plan B after you've already gone all in, right?
But then that deck is that deck's not a plan B thing, and you don't want to kill your own boon tokens.
You can do it maybe in Thief Priest.
Well, I mean, of course.
You just have stuff for days.
Or Quest Priest, because, why not? But
okay, so let's go through them. Malfurion would see play in Ramp Druid. You put him in Ramp Druid. No, wait a minute. You can't overwrite the Guff hero power. You can't overwrite Guff.
If you play another hero after you play Guff, does that screw with your
overwrite
total?
No.
So
because that's a battle cry that just updates your max mana.
Right. Correct. You always want to do Wildheart Guff first.
Yeah.
I guess you could overwrite the hero power, but like you could overwrite the hero power, but I still want to draw cards.
Yeah, but okay, because Druid has trouble drawing cards. That,
I mean, does Druid have trouble gaining armor or dealing damage?
Sometimes.
I don't know. I'm actually not sure about it. Thinking about it, like it's close. Rexxar would see play for sure. Rexxar would 100% see play. Jaina is worse than Dawn Grasp by a lot.
It depends on the point of the game, right?
And what you're up against.
Right.
I think like I would definitely rather have damage against Druid. Because you just need to kill them, or else they're gonna. Yeah.
Jaina also costs 9. 9's a large number of mana.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're playing a Renthal deck. You got time.
The life is nothing to sneeze at, though. Like, Mage does not.
Do we have elementals? We don't have Deep Freeze anymore.
No, but I feel like it would not be hard in current meta to make an elemental every turn against a lot of decks. Like, it's very minion heavy meta.
Power up high enough.
Yeah.
Oh, and Wildfire still works.
Oh, you can Wildfire. Okay. So you can Wildfire.
So you're gonna have no problem killing things with that hero power, especially with like Reckless Apprentice.
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
curious now. I'm curious. Okay. I could see that. Paladin has one hero. Her name is Cario. We're moving on. There are some priest decks that I think would consider
I
playing.
don't know, because like it would be cool to play like OTK Uther again.
Oh, wait a minute.
How?
Because Edelweiss, you play the jailer, and then your tutus can't die.
That you still need 4 turns of life after that.
Are there hero
If
power
you
refreshers
survive
in standard?
4
Is there anything
turns-
that hero power refreshes? Like is
No,
Garrison
there's,
Commander in standard? No.
You can make a hero power cost 0 with an honorable kill, and that's it.
I mean, are there things you could, because if you can change, well, no, you don't want to change the hero power. Never mind.
Yeah,
Like,
you see what
you would still want to play Cariel first to get the weapon, then play Uther, then play Jailer. Now,
Yeah.
granted, you would draw them 10, 9, 8. So
Yeah, and I mean, Uther costs 9, so.
Wait, but Uther gives you a weapon.
Oh yeah, that's no good. Never mind.
Yeah, so it doesn't function.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to you trying that if this happens. Priest, I think there's some consideration for Anduin in the slower decks. Valera the Hollow,
Oh God, no.
I don't.
No, my heart
what
can't
would
take
you
it.
do with
no?
Rogue
I
does
don't
not have
I
any
want-
trouble
I
generating a
want
bunch of crap.
Somebody's gonna figure something out, and it's gonna make me very upset. That's
That
all I
card
know.
costs 9 mana. 9. That's, I assure you that Garrod is not going to play a 9 mana card. No way. Shaman was a bad card then and is a bad card now. Are you going to try and justify Shaman? It's 5 mana for a convincing disguise.
You would play both.
Would I?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Shaman was not good enough in 2017.
So, okay, here's the thing. You can macaw that effect.
Ooh, watch out, ladies!
What? All right. Look, and we do still have Wild Paw Null. Like, there's the 10s are pretty good. I feel like it's not completely outside the realm of
Oh,
possibility.
Goldshire Null. Okay, yes.
Yeah. I feel like you can mess with it in like the XL Shaman just as a power spike, and if you don't hit the Brukan, you would still want to overwrite it with Brukan, but I don't think it's completely crazy. I don't think it's like good, but
Yeah, me neither.
evolving is a lot of value. Like, the location is good in that deck for a reason.
Costs 1. Yes, it is 80% off. Good deal. So, Warlock, Gul'dan would see play. He would be worse, but that hero power is too good to not do. I know we cost 10. But I feel like that there would be some decks that would run Gul'dan out there.
I mean, you run Denathrius sometimes in like non-curse Warlock now.
Correct.
The Drain Soul that can go face is just, it's so insane.
Yeah. I don't know if the deck that plays it would be good, but it would feel like there's something there. And I talked about Jailer Warlock. You just throw this in the deck. It's fine. You can get back your Dark Alley Pact demons.
I'm looking forward to the Trollden video where a thief rogue gets a copy of Blood Reaver Gul'dan and a bunch of wildfires and keeps playing them with contraband stashes.
That sounds entertaining. I'm entertained. Okay, we can do that. And I'm on board. It's fine. And then Warrior. Oh, Garrosh.
I mean, it's a decent Enraged Warrior card, I guess.
No.
Is
no,
it?
it's not.
Okay.
Rakara is so much better.
We may... So, even for people playing back then, I don't know if they remember what Garrosh had. I know we explained none of these cards. Do either of you remember what Garrosh What is Scourge Reaper Garrosh what he did?
Yeah.
What he does?
Well, I mean, the hero power was the whirlwind, but you didn't play. It was like the one that you didn't play for the hero power. You played it for the weapon that cleaved.
Yes.
That was the only reason you played it.
False.
And then you'd play,
we didn't play
it.
it. We didn't have a reason to play it.
Then you played Dr. Boom Mad Genius right afterwards to get a real hero power.
Yeah.
So it's an 8 mana hero, gives you the 5 armor, gives you a 4/3 weapon that cleaves, and there's a hero power that whirlwinds. 2 mana hero power that whirlwinds. In case you're wondering what else, nope, that's it. And in case you're saying that sounds terrible, yup, it was and it is. Like, again, that and Shaman didn't meet the standards of what Hero should do. Shaman, we actually found out from developers, it reworked. It was reworked late in development because it was originally a freeze Shaman hero. And it turns out that freezing things over and over again isn't super fun. Then, multiple years later, they printed Snowfall Guardian, proving that history repeats itself. Except that one actually made it through development. They fixed it eventually.
This was also the era when buffs were unheard of. Like, these cards had all rotated before the first time. Before the first time that cards got buffed like they do today. So, like, these cards were that's just how they were. And that's what Shaman and Warrior got. And, you know, they were, you know, I mean, Warrior at least eventually got Dr. Boom, and that made up for it, but
a year later.
Yeah. And it took another year for it to be really playable, but
Dr. Boom was really good in Boomsday Project.
I mean, it was played, but it took until, you know, after the other stuff, after the real Death Knights rotated for it to actually be more than a sideshow.
For it to be oppressive. It's the second half of Year of the Raven, like, there was plenty of Warrior going around. It was Odd Warrior. I got to play Boomsday Odd Warrior with Dynamatic.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
I understand. You probably fell asleep during those games, forgot it was still in Standard. So, I don't have other alternative theories, but I don't trust this team to throw a pitch that's easy to read. I am guessing that we will get some curveballs. Don't know what it is, but 24.6. I imagine that whenever that comes out, we will have a busy news week or two. So, we'll see what happens. By the way, we have a whole balance patch that we haven't talked about yet. So let's do that now.
Wait, hang on. One last thing. Will 24.6 line up basically with Halloween?
So we're not sure if it's last week of October or first week of November, but I think that Steve's point of they always do Hallows End in October, and if it hits the last week of October, then we have Hallows End live for Halloween weekend. I would expect that's intended. So it would make a lot of sense for it to be the last Thursday of the month.
So the counterpoint out the only counterpoint I'm going to throw out there, and it's a very weak one. Masters Fall Championship is October 28th through October 30th.
Oh.
I don't know that they would. I not that, you know, that's necessarily been a thing in the past. I could see them looking at that as like a deck building challenge for that tournament, but I could also see them saying, like, maybe let's not do the super fun thing until after Fall Champs are done.
They have seemed to, at least lately, go out of their way to not screw over MT competitors. That seems to be the sort of thing they've tried to do since, like, mid-voyage. Because I think there was a major issue mid-voyage, and that's when they fixed it. Somewhere around there. They were trying to keep the events, like, in that 5-day window at least. Definitely not a 3-day window. Definitely not the day before. So, okay, you're probably right. Counterpoint means, then what? That would be Tuesday the 1st?
Probably, yeah.
And if that involves changes to Standard, that's the first day of the Standard season?
So that kind of tracks, yeah.
That sounds plausible when I say it out loud.
Yeah. It is a little bit weird to not have, like, a Hallows End event, if that's the case, unless it's already, like, in the client, right? Which it could be. They could have just put it in the client and just, like they don't have to do anything fancy to turn on dual class arena or whatever, necessarily.
I don't know.
We're
speculating,
but
yes,
I guess.
somewhere in that late October, early November. November 1st seems pretty plausible when they say it out loud. But because Halloween's on a Monday. Ugh. Okay. I hope I don't have to work that night. I hate weekday Halloweens because they're actually busy. Weekend Halloweens. Fun fact, if you work in a movie theater, weekend Halloweens are slow because people have stuff to do, so they're not there. But if it's a weekday Halloween, they make a night out of it and they go out, but they don't want to do like a full going out thing, so they go to the movies. That's why, like, when you have social holidays, when they fall on the weekend, people go socialize. When they fall on the weekdays, they come to the movies. It's interesting. Anyways, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Hearthstone. The first card change, Theotar the Mad Duke. I'm going to do all the changes. I'll read them all through. Theotar the Mad Duke, 4 mana to 5 mana. Theotar is a defining card in the current meta. He plays an important role in giving players agency against powerful late-game plays, but he can also be very frustrating to lose to, you don't say. We don't want him to be one of the most popular cards in the next expansion, and our goal with this change is to lower his play rate across all ranks. If his play rate doesn't drop significantly with this change, we'll evaluate further changes at the next opportunity. I am going to pause real quick here. They don't want him to be popular next expansion, and will evaluate further changes at the next opportunity. There is a seldom used patch window in the middle of 0.6 patches. They haven't used it for a little while, but this is, remember when they nerfed bees out of Kazakhstan? That was a 0.6.2 patch. They don't usually do it. They don't usually need to. That's usually lead up to the next expansion. They just leave things the way they are. But if they want to, between pre-order patch and next expansion, there is a window for them to make a change. And if Theotar stays everywhere on ladder, I could see this getting another nerf before next expansion. Maybe this is just Copium speaking out loud, hoping that they change it if the card's still prevalent. But this language is pretty specific. We don't want him to be one of the most popular cards in the next expansion. Our goal with this change is to lower his play rate across all ranks. If his play rate doesn't drop significantly with this change, we'll evaluate further changes at the next opportunity. Not next expansion. Renathal said, we want to see how Renathal performs in the next expansion. This says next opportunity. Am I reading too much into this? Maybe? Probably?
I mean, Theotar has to be a huge exit point for a lot of people, right? Like, I'm sure that they have some sort of a metric to track how many times a player's last game for the session is one in which Theotar was played against them. I would not be surprised if that metric exists. I would not be surprised if that metric was fairly high. So I think that they know that this is not something that needs to be as common of an experience as it is, because it affects the play experience. And I'm sure that they want that to not be what people remember from the next expansion launch. Or as you've said several times, Hat, if somebody plays this against you in a theory crafting stream, you're gonna rage quit. So
this I will have personal Twitter beef with any content creator that Theotars me during theory crafting. I will call them out live on the air. I will screen capture my Twitter window, and I will tweet at them, really, dude? I don't care their gender. I'm going to say, really, dude. That's what I'm going to do.
I also do love how the phrasing of this dev comment reads like a teacher threatening to send a child to the principal's office. Like, it just, I get a full, like, I am fed up with you and your behavior needs to change.
We may yet see the 6 mana 4/4 Theotar.
Or the discover change to random, or something like that.
I mean, then it's just useless.
Well, I would not be surprised if they considered Nellying this card, right? Like,
I would be surprised. You do not get this card past design and development without wanting this effect in your game. If you want it to be worse, you want it to be worse. But you know, when you make a text box like this, do I want this to exist? And that has, like, there were, I'm sure, discussions about this before it got sent out the door, but I don't think this ever sees the light of day if it's not something they want in standard actively, at least this expansion, maybe 2 expansions down the road if he's still around. then we talk about deleting him completely. But this isn't a threat. This is a response.
I would counter that. I think that when people make a wish upon a monkey's paw, they actually want the thing that they get. They don't realize what form it's going to take. That's my response to that. It feels like, yes, they did want this, and I think it feels like they wished on a monkey's paw.
But I think the developers want it. I think the developers do want this in the game right now. And just a question of tuning. I would expect 6 mana 4/4 to be the next step. They could make it useless, but I don't think they want people that hate losing the combo to feel like they have no options. Again, with Denathrius in the format, you got to have something for him. And I don't think Denathrius is a big deal right now. I think people overstate how much Theotar is keeping him down, when in reality, like, the format just, there aren't that many Denathrius decks right now unless you're trying to play a lot of Conquest. But you still need some kind of safety valve for him. So, I don't know. I do agree that I think there's an exit point here. I do agree that I think there's an opportunity to change this, but they never print this if the development team doesn't want it to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, it is load bearing to an extent, but at a certain point, what are you holding up? So
I would not be surprised if it was just that it was underestimated how powerful Discover from the enemy hand was going to be, both relating to the number of cards in the opponent's hand and not seeing duplicates if there are duplicates in the opponent's hand.
Yeah, the pair thing could have come out. Yeah, that's reasonable.
And, you look at Mutinous and you say, okay, well, that's 7 mana because, only minions and it gets the stats, right? So since it comes down on 7, it's likely to be a bigger minion. You're making a big threat, right? But Theo, not getting any stats, maybe they felt it could be cheaper. Perhaps that is less true because of how powerful the disruption capabilities are as Discover, and as, really the only way of affecting non-minions in the opponent's hand.
Yeah, and also the fact that it doesn't destroy the cards, so then people felt like they needed to play Theotar to defend themselves against Theotar, either by taking the card back in a magical Christmas land, or by trying to take their Theotar and then stealing a different card with it. So like people were playing Theotar defensively, and now everybody's playing Theotar. This is how you get ants.
Yeah, I will say this change will be more impactful than people initially realize. I don't think that any deck currently playing Theotar will cut it. By the way, if you were listening to this and you say, well, I had Theotar in my Hunter deck, I don't think you should have. I think that was a mistake already, but I forget who I was talking to. I was talking to someone that said, well, that'll fix itself because either you'll stop playing Theo or you'll stop playing Hunter, and you solve the problem either way. But Theotar at 5, it's much worse with Bran. All the decks that play him, the turns you play him will be a lot worse. They will be a turn later, they will be slower, and it will leave you more vulnerable. So I don't think it will change how much Theotar is in those decks. I think it will change how many people are playing decks with Theotar in them. But I'd be surprised if it changed the composition of most of those decks because you run Theotar because you want to win a Denathrius fight. So I don't think at 5 mana we're removing that factor. I don't even know at 6 mana if we're removing that factor. It just makes the decks more vulnerable to each other.
See, but I think there's one factor that you're not factoring in here, which is that we talked about this with Starfish. It has a legendary gem in the middle, and it just got changed. So there will be a number of people who will go take the Dustin run, and that
I hope so.
by itself will
right.
at least temporarily will bring down the play rate because they don't have it in their collections, right? So that in and of itself will help the play rate at least a little bit, at least temporarily. Certainly at lower ranks, where if you're talking about like high legend, nobody cares, right? Like most of the players at those ranks have more than enough dust to do whatever they want to. Maybe they get to make a card golden if they dust it, whatever. But for people who are building a collection, 1600 dust is a lot. Like that's a new legendary, and there may be a number of people who will just take the dust and run.
Yep. Theotar, I think, contextually will get a little worse because I expect aggro to get better because of the next 3 changes that are coming. Stag Spirit Wild Seed, the stag that's generated off Wild Spirit, Spirit Poacher, whatever, going from a 5/4 to a 4/3. Bear Spirit Wild Seed going from a 2/5 to a 2/4. And Harpoon Gun getting reverted. You may not remember, but it got buffed from the beast that you dredge into reduces by 3 instead of by 2. It's going back to reducing by 2. The comment, Hunter has been the most popular and arguably the most powerful class in the game for some time, especially in lower ranks. These changes are meant to address some of the sharper play patterns the class is capable of, while simultaneously lowering the overall class power level. By the way, not only is Harpoon Gun fully refundable, but every card that says Wild Seed in the text is again fully refundable the second time, so any arguments about Blizzard viewing dust value when they make changes are now completely obliterated. Diamond Drekthar should have put those to rest, but now the Wild Seeds twice in the same expansion, getting the dust back, like, it is pretty hard to say anything other than they don't look at it at all.
Aralon's probably got to be the most, like, dusted and crafted card second to Barnes, because people were just, like, dusting and crafting Barnes just so they could dust them again. But other than that...
was me. Like, I did that. Every time I logged in, every day I started by dusting Barnes. It was wonderful. I would craft him again my way out. So... I want to make sure I'm clear in the contextual change here. We talked about this last week when we were guessing. And they gave us a really nice graphic on Twitter this week with little images of what the cards that would be changed were. The language of the tweet was vague. It said cards like these. But it ended up being just these 4 cards. High confidence changes. What we talked about last week, for those of you that didn't listen yet. Hunter was really good against aggro. Because you would make 5 health taunts out of nowhere, and then you would get turn 4 Mountain Bears or Hydras, and aggro can't keep up with that, and the Renathal Hunter list didn't have to trade with you, because they weren't vulnerable to getting rushed down because the window to fight them was too small. This is basically the same as what happened in Voyage with Druid. You couldn't reliably get under them, because they had good board control tools early, and then they generated health and armor really, really fast. So there was no real way to counter it. That's what was going on with Hunter. The only real counter was Blessed Priest. So now, I imagine that Hunter is much worse against Aggro Demon Hunter and Rage Warrior, Curse Imp Zoo. It was already about 50-50 with regular Imp Zoo. These decks that were really struggling to get through Mountain Bears and 2/5 taunts. Those decks are also very good against anyone that's trying to play a Theatar, especially now a Theatar on 5. So an increase in aggro means likely a decrease in mid-rangey piles that are trying to keep up with Hunter, because also Hunter itself will decrease. And I think there's an opportunity for more anti-aggro decks to actually function now. We'll see how the format shapes out, but I wouldn't be surprised this is a bunch of small changes that actually have a bunch of knock-on effects with each other, and Theo ends up seeing less play because you have a lot fewer slow decks to target. If you're seeing a lot of aggro, you don't run Theo. You can even still run Renathal, but you don't need Theo at all. Steve, you talked about, I think it was actually in Barons, where you cut Elucia because of the mirror match of Baron's Priest, but also against the aggressive decks in that format, Elucia didn't do anything. What was the point?
Right. Yeah, and I've seen some people saying, like, this is an underwhelming set of nerfs, and first of all, they said that they wanted them to be a light touch. Like, the meta's fairly good and just, like, a few outliers that need to be shaved off. But also, like, don't underestimate the impact of 3 small changes to the same deck. Like, that's... And in some cases to the same... Like, in some cases, like, it's 2 nerfs to the same card in the case of the Wild Seeds. Like, yeah, those are small changes. It's a little bit off the bear. It's a little bit off the stags. It's a little bit off the Harpoon Gun discount, but like, those things coming together will make the deck worse enough that it will be able to be beaten by things that couldn't beat it before, which will open up room for other decks in the meta, which is really, like, you don't want to kill the deck. Like, there are ways you could make this change where you could, you know, I don't know, make Pet Collector 6 mana or you know, make Saber 5 or whatever, and you could kill the deck. I don't think you need to, I think you just need to make it so that it has some sort of a weakness, and the weakness is killing it before Mountain Bear and Hydrolodon come online. And like we've talked about like the difference between like 5 health and 4 health on a taunt. That's a that's a much bigger change than most of the people who are saying that realize.
I was honestly surprised that the stag went to 4-3, because I thought it would just go down in a power, go to 4-4.
Yeah.
And since you're hitting 2 separate wild seeds, the 4 health on the taunt for sure, significant against aggro. In general, though, both of these health changes just line up better against, or better for the opponent in terms of removal options. Like, the difference between only having to do 3 damage with your removal as opposed to 4 is pretty massive, particularly when you're going to have 3 turns to figure out that you know, or to find it for that target. It always just felt crazy overwhelming when they rolled stag, and you're like, I don't see those for a bit, but then they're huge and they have a weapon.
Yeah.
It got a little nuts.
Yeah, and if you think of something like a Dreadlich Tamsin's going to clear everything but like a 2/1 bear, right? Like that's a significant big deal, because like you would have to use an Abyssal Wave to clear those things before if you're playing like Curse Imp. And regular Imp just didn't have that available at all, right? So like those types of breakpoints, they matter a lot in just how. I mean, think about when School Teacher went from a 5-4 to a 4-3, right? That
particular change is why I thought they wouldn't do this to Stag.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I read the change, it was staggering.
Oh, dear Lord.
Took you both a second there, huh?
Yeah, you didn't even get my response, did you?
Perfect.
Dear Lord.
No, I got that.
Okay.
I heard it.
Okay. You just chose not to acknowledge it, which is fair.
But yeah, I'm surprised that it got hit like this much. Because 4-4, what you're saying is we want to slow down Hunter's ability to pressure incidentally. But 4-3 is saying we want to mitigate Hunter's ability to pressure off Wild Seeds at all. Wild Seeds now look pretty actively like anti-aggro cards, and they got worse at that. And I'm not going to say that we cut Spirit Poacher and Wild Spirits from our decks, because you shouldn't do that. They're still a good deal. Aerolon, I'm a lot less sure on now. Aerolon seems like a much worse card. We agree.
Well, it was pretty nuts that Aerolon was a 5-mana card that looked good in the mulligan for Hunter. Like that was pretty awkward.
Okay. Yeah, it felt like, I understand Spirit Poacher and Wild Spirits being good in the mulligan. They probably still are, but I imagine that they're going to be a little worse. But still, you can still play this deck. I'm just hoping that the aggressive minion-based decks now have an opportunity to succeed. In addition, there were some BG changes. Not a lot. Because, again, they're also doing stuff in 24.6, I guess. Dev comment, this is a smaller update as we spread our recent changes across the last few hotfix patches. BG's players should expect a bigger BG's update with the next major patch, 24.6. Fungalmancer Flurgle. Used to be after you sell 4 minions, get a random Murloc. Now it's after you sell 5 minions. And he's been moved from Armor Tier 1 at 0 armor to Armor Tier 4, 4 to 7 armor. Okay, hold up. Patch notes person. You listed both the tier that it was, what that tier meant, the tier that it's going to, and what that tier means. I appreciate you, patch notes person. I will reinforce this every podcast I do. The people that listened to the Angry Chicken yesterday heard this feedback already. I don't care. I'm going to say it again. Thank you for helping me sound smarter on the air. So, Flurgle, the armor got buffed in compensation for the hero power getting worse. Look at that. I have all the information right here in the notes. This is great. It's great. The smoking gun Used to be your minions have +5 attack. Now it's your minions have +4 attack, but it's easier to earn. This makes sense because I think Jay Correct explained this in the chat. It was so good that they had to make it too difficult to earn. And that got the quest state to either I die before this comes online, or it comes online too late, or it doesn't matter, or I scam it online quickly and I win because it's too good. So they have to make the reward worse, not the quest worse. And that means they can tune down how difficult it is to earn, which means you can get it at a more relevant point in the game, but it isn't quite as dominant. Good. Cool. Made some minion updates as well. Netherdrake. This was the tier 2 dragon, the 0/4 at the end of your turn. Give your dragons +1 attack permanently. It counted itself. It's going to a tier 3 1/5. So it's effectively a 2/5 after the first combat. Basically Ysera nerf. And they moved Twilight Emissary down from a tier 3 4/4 to a tier 2 3/3, which Battlecry gives a friendly minion +2/+2. Should be better for Kalecgos, but overall this is a net nerf for dragons, especially for Ysera dragons, because Netherdrake's coming online quickly was somewhat problematic. There's also one bug fix where you weren't able to see Dark Force Malygos. The flight was too dark. They fixed that, so you can get him now. So I don't have deep thoughts. I get it. That's the patch. Okay. There's some more news, but that's the patch. That's the important part. I have to close this stupid window now. So, the whole... we're an hour and 19 minutes in. There's no Dexplanation this week, by the way. That was all patch planations. So, don't listen for the trumpet bumper. But, yeah. We'll have... I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. We'll probably pick a deck. We'll figure it out.
The trumpet bumper is tournaments.
That's more of a kazoo.
It's kind of... there's one trumpet at the end, but the Mean Streets has... The Gadgets and Dexplanation bumper has a lot of trumpets right at the beginning.
Oh. I'll have to listen more closely next time.
It's... So, okay. I'll play it for... It's a very subtle opening. It's not actually that subtle.
I'm kind of envisioning this in Trombone Champ now.
Did you see that someone put Through the Fire and Flames in Trombone Champ?
I did, and it hurt my brain. Oh, it was terrifying. I remember playing that song in Guitar Hero once upon a time, and I'm still traumatized from it. And like, oh my gosh, yeah, it was something to watch. But wow, yeah.
I want to do DDR of that song. That seems fun.
So anyways.
Just make sure to have some like supplementary oxygen on hand for that.
Yeah. So a couple more bundles in the shop. The Refined Taste bundle, the Noodle Nemsy bundle, you can get those in the shop. There are also some BG's portraits that are customized per person in your Battleground shop for 100 runestones each. They are always older portraits that you don't own. Not even that older, just like portraits that you don't own. And there are 100 runestones, which is $1 US. Hey! A good deal that requires a small runestone purchase? Imagine if we had this the whole time and we could spin this positively, Blizzard business team. Because $1, I understand. I can speak to that. $1 for a portrait seems like a good price. Maybe I'll even break a 5. Throw some stones at that. It's $1. Okay, I get it.
Imagine if you could just go buy the portrait that you wanted whenever and not have to wait for the algorithm to tell you that you wanted it.
It's like if your collection became a store sort of thing.
Yeah.
Wacky.
I know.
Wacky.
That's I shouldn't try to live that far in the future.
It's society if you could buy portraits of runestones whenever you want, and it's that meme post of the futuristic Jetsons look. Yeah. You know what I mean.
I might have been influenced by the fact that I picked up Runeterra again this week, and I looked in the store, and there were still skins from the Star Guardian event, even though the Star Guardian event ended. And I could still go buy those if I wanted to.
How about that?
Just saying.
Yeah. Man. Every single time you mention Runeterra, I'm tempted to log in. It's like, I do not have time for a third card game on my phone right now. I don't have time for 2. Anyways, in addition, this thing looks pretty cool. The Legendary Battlegrounds board. So it's 2,000 runestones, but remember, like, it's got an entire Murloc village to cheer you on, and there are 6 different visuals during the recruit phase and the combat phase when you're top 4, and the win streak at low health when you deal a massive hit. There's a lot going on here. Apparently, this board is cool as hell. It's $20, 2,000 runestones, but it's live now. I shouldn't, but I'm thinking about it. I am prepared for Drunk Hat to buy this and to be okay with it.
I mean, Drunk Hat's going to have an extra step to go buy the runestones and then click buy on the thing. It's a lot of manual dexterity to ask of Drunk Hat.
It's not... okay, I understand the feedback that, like, runestones add an extra step. I think about how many buttons I click every time I play one game of Hearthstone. I think I can figure out the runestone purchase pretty easily.
You say that, but I have previously clicked the runestone thing on the portrait I wanted to buy. It said you don't have any runestones, brought me to purchase the runestones. I purchased the runestones, and then that's the end of the transaction, so I didn't go back and get the portrait, because I thought I had done that. So, it's, it happens.
Edelweiss, I promise this is meant in an appreciative way, but would this be the first time your boomer APM has led you wrong in the client?
Okay, look, it is not an APM thing. I thought the transaction was done.
I use Amazon coins to buy my stuff. I use Amazon coins already to buy in the mobile app because it saves me money. So I'm already used to doing 2 transactions to buy a thing.
I understand. I click end turn before I've used all my mana all the time too. It happens.
You 2 need to play more Rogue. Anyways.
No, I really don't.
Oh, I am going to try that Vandar Rogue. That'll be interesting.
Join us, Steve. You get to field contact. It's fun. All right. So why don't we talk about something Steve likes more, such as dashboards and statistics, instead of talking about Rogue some more? Let's go to the tournaments.
It's the Grand Tournament!
So we did have Masters Tour, Maw, and Disorder this past weekend. This is the 6th and final Masters Tour of 2022. As expected, we had a lot of hunters. 80% of the field brought Beast Hunter. Not really a surprise. The surprise is maybe that it was that low, that 20% of players chose not to bring it. But that was easily the most popular lineup, the most popular deck, and that was the only hunter that anyone brought. Maybe there were a couple of Brave Souls who brought Quest Hunter, but that is not even enough to show up on the graph. Ramp Druid, Renathal, Skeleton Mage, Curse Imp Warlock, Control Shaman are all very popular, all above 25%. Priest was a fairly popular bring, but it was broken up between a number of different archetypes. Boon Priests, Naga Priests make up most of it. Then you have a small percentage that were bringing Quest Priest, Thief Priest, or Boar Priest. Remember that, because we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Do we have to?
The rest of the we do. This little piggy went to market and went all the way home.
I guess I talked about Secret Rogue, so you get your turn.
I don't like Boar Priest, though. I don't want to talk about Boar Priest, but we have to. Also, yeah, a number of Thief Priests, Thief Rogues, Miracle Rogues. 7.5% of the field brought Jailer Paladin. That didn't go so well for them, but they brought it. And it was interestingly, Hunter was not banned as much as I think we thought it might be. Curse, Warlock, and Ramp Druid were actually the most banned decks at around like 17% apiece. Beast Hunter was only banned about 11%, only accounted for 11% of the bans. So there was clearly an approach to target Hunter, targeting quotes, but there are at least people who felt confident enough that they could get by it in this tournament. The winner was Fury Hunter, who brought a lineup of Beast Hunter, Curse Imp Warlock, 30 card Ping Mage, and Boar Priest. Both Fury Hunter and Pocket Train were undefeated, did not drop a game at the end of day one of Swiss. We're 15-0 or 12-0 in game scores, which is amazing. Boar Priest was also the best deck by win rate, and I don't know that that's so much a marker of how good the deck in this meta is, as much as the fact that most of the people who brought it because they thought they were supposed to bring it in the past didn't bring it to this tournament. Because the people who brought it were the true believers. And those are the players who they don't care what the matchups are because they're favored in every matchup. And you could see that when you watch Fury Hunter play it. It was putting on a show. Like, there were games where it's like, it's turn 6 and his deck is empty. And then you turn around and the game's over. There were also, like, it's worth going back and watching some of his matches. Certainly, like, on day 3, but also even on day 1, I remember there was a game where he was playing as the mage, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember commenting in the Discord right afterwards, there's no way I win that game if I'm playing it, because there were some lines that he took that were really interesting that I would not have thought of in terms of being able to get through that game. So the runner-up was Leandro Leal, who actually was one of the 20% who left Hunter home and had Ramp Druid, 40-card Spooky Mage, Control Shaman, and Quest Priest. So, looking at decks that could potentially make it through the Hunter, that lineup worked out well for him. Obviously, he ran into Fury Hunter, and Fury Hunter got the better of him. But really interesting seeing the Quest Priest be able to perform. And that was not a particularly well-performing deck in the meta. That was just about 48%. But Leandro Leal made it work. So the other two semifinalists were Spring and Construct, who shared 3 of the 4 same decks: Beast Hunter, Ramp Druid, and Curse Imp Warlock. Spring had Thief Rogue. Construct had Control Shaman. This is also one of the first Masters Tours in a while where we had an America's participant in the finals, and we were guaranteed an America's participant in the finals because we had an All America's semifinal. So that was unusual, and maybe hopefully some sort of a harbinger of things to come, that maybe we won't get all the the LOL America's jokes in the future, but we probably will. But it was a good event, and then we have, as we said, we have Fall Championships coming up the last weekend in October, and that will determine the remainder of the slots for Worlds, which take place in December. We also had week 1 of qualifiers for Supergirl Gamer Pro. That's the all women's tournament that is being casted by friends of the show, Swebe and Dragon Rider. The teacher is a player from Portugal who's been around for a while. I believe took a break for a bit to pursue her teaching career, but just got back in and able to take down all of week 1 with Beast Hunter, 30-card Ping Mage, Aggro Imp Warlock, and Aggro Druid. And the runner-up of that bracket was Effie Mia with Curse Imp Warlock, Thief Rogue, Spooky Mage, and I wrote Thief Rogue twice, so I'm not sure what the 4th deck was. But it seems like it was something that would have been a little slower. So that's still going on this weekend. I believe there's several weeks of qualifiers with playoffs in November. Supergirl Gamer Pro also just tweeted out that they're going to be doing a battleground circuit. So those qualifiers are going to be October 22nd and October 29th, with championships on November 12th and a $2,500 prize pool, free entry. So if you identify as a woman or non-binary and would like to participate, do make sure to sign up for that. And speaking of battlegrounds, we also have Lobby Legends this weekend, which will be I have to remember to look at Pacific. So it's going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on Saturday, October 15th, and Sunday, October 16th. TJ and Derek will be casting with a $50,000 prize pool. And as usual, there is a lobby selection video from Abar and Griffey, which is adorable. And Abar tried to make Griffey wear a Murloc hat, and Griffey was having none of it. So go watch that, and then go watch the Lobby Legends. They will be having the Tavern Buddy extension once again. There will be community co-streams once again, and the same format as we've had. So if you enjoy competitive battlegrounds, then this weekend's for you.
Yeah, to follow up on the Supergirl standard play, a teacher beat me in round 2, which kind of bummed about, but at least it always feels good when you lose to the person that wins that event. Because then you're like, oh, all right, well, okay. But that bracket kind of stacked. I played Baby Bear round 1.
Oh gosh.
I think the teacher had to beat Nayara, and Katrina was also on our side of the bracket. It was, I looked at the bracket when it was formed, and I was like, oh gosh, okay, well, this is not going to be a chill opening to this event.
Is it single elim?
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that's intimidating. Yeah.
So you knocked out Baby Bear round 1, huh?
I felt a little bad about it.
Did you?
Why?
I did. Because I did not deserve to win some of those games. That's why I felt bad. Yeah.
I got none of that. I don't know if you got any of it, Steve.
Oh no, I didn't know.
Your Discord freaked out.
Yeah.
No, oh, is it your cat?
It happens once an episode, so we should have been planning for it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Was that cat related?
It was not cat related. This time it was just me. I don't know. Something's made this cable looser. Anyway.
Time to replace the cable.
I felt a little bad because I had like the turn for.
Is your local recording still going?
Shaman. I started it up again. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you had some evolve scams. Listen, if you put that in the format, it's not a question of who deserves to get and not get an evolve scams. It all works out over time. Sometimes you're the evolver, sometimes you're the evolvee.
I almost lost. I almost lost that game. It was against Beast Hunter, and taunts got in the way of that Deathwing, so.
Yeah, it happens.
Taunt is cheat, though. So, I mean, she should be apologizing to you.
All right, it was turn 4-12-12. Let's not go nuts. But yeah, I'm really glad to hear that Supergirl Gamer Pro is doing more of the stuff that they do. It's a great organization. And I'm very glad that they made the Lobby Legends reveal video more hat-based, even though Griffey was not supportive of the hat initiative. He'll come around to it. It'll be fine. And
not everyone needs to love hats, Hat.
You shut your mouth. And I think that's actually going to wind us down for this week. So we have many folks we'd like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website at CoinConcede.com. You can find our content info, our show notes, and our Patreon information. You can monetarily support our show, patreon.com/CoinConcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Write into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at CoinConcede, as well as like, share, and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/CoinConcede. If you like some CC swag, head over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. Big thanks to our producers, Number Theory, Doshike, Gresh, Cap, B-Squatch, David P, Faded Block, Wild Lou, Jeremy T, Battlecaps, Lucky, and Ponius. Thank you so much to Kresh for subbing during the show, and he's one of my Coin Concedes, so Kresh, thanks for hanging out. Coin Concede to you. Other Coin Concedes, who's ready? Are either of you ready? I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah, you go first.
Coin Concede to, so it's Kresh, as I mentioned. Divok, he was my first Coin Concede Listener Series opponent. I was playing Jombray's Renathal Secret Thief Rogue, not the Vandar list. There's Jombray's.
Oh, so the respectable list then is what you're saying.
You didn't let me finish my story, and you're gonna wish you hadn't said that. So perhaps the high or low point of the game for me was after Double Stash. The fourth test was a little underwhelming because my board spawned the Kolak first, so I didn't have room for the fifth or sixth Meta.
Hold on, let me go get my world's tiniest violin so that I can play it for you.
I did end up taking down the game. Cariel not enough to stop the 4 Metas and the Kolak, which I had played 2 stashes and 4 tests, so it was 6 total Kolaks. 4 Metas in play. It was... got there. We got there. So, Divok was a great sport about it. The rest of the games in the series were a little faster, but shout out, Coin Concede to you, Divok. Celestalon, just for being here in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. And Clark. Clark is tweeted dealing with some personal stuff right now. Just want to Coin Concede and let him know the community's here for him.
Yeah, we love you, buddy.
Yeah. So, who's ready now?
All right, I am going to Coin Concede to Sidisi in this time of loss for him. I have given him a lot of crap over the past week about the state of Hunter and the impending nerfs. But you know, I'm sure that this will just open up more avenues for more memery for him. But he's been a very good sport about it. So we've had a lot of jokes about just playing the green cards. And I still to this day do not know if we mean the cards that are available to play or the Hunter class cards. And either way, it's still funny. Maybe both. Who knows? But yeah, and Sidisi is a good sport, and he's a good guy. So I'm sad that his toys are gonna be slightly adjusted down, but I am sure that he will also be able to adjust and make something equally disgusting that looks like a priest deck with green cards.
Well, all right. Edelweiss.
So I figure I'll just Coin Concede to Baby Bear because she definitely played better than me in that series, but I still managed to grind out the 3-2. That was all the same. She was a great sport about it.
And that's going to do it for our show this week. So keep calm, and you don't have to play the green cards if you don't want to, but you can. They're fine. And if you see us on ladder, Coin Concede.
Coin Concede.
Coin Concede.
Stopping local recording.
Yep.
Yeah, replace that
Just
cable
365,
probably.
right?
Yes.
I don't know if it's like it gets nudged or what exactly. Maybe I'll just like duct tape it on.
Zip ties.
How do you zip tie it? Wait, what?
I think she means like duct tape it so that it stays into the port.
The base.
Like
yeah.
stays where it is.
I mean, the thing, it's not like it falls out, but it must get like jiggled or something. I don't know.
Not sure.
Yeah, I mean, if the contact's starting to become loose, right, then
is it USB-C?
It probably doesn't take that much.
Yes. Or it's not USB-C, it's micro.
Oh, micro's terrible. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a micro
with my old mic too. Yeah.
I have a micro port in the back of my keyboard, and it just falls out sometimes because micro is a terrible standard. I mean, something you could do if you want to get wacky when you get into position is like go XLR instead. Like that's an option, but that's the nuclear option.
I don't know how to do that.
You would have to buy something.
You'd have to buy like a
Go LXR Mini.
That's why I was thinking of the name, like words now. Like we stop recording and all of a sudden I can't make words anymore.
Jay Correct, are they playing the Demon Seed? Because otherwise, I don't know, to show that they figured it out.
They want to show how smart they are.
I guess it doesn't matter after Tamsin, but it is kind of silly to choose Wildfire off Suspicious Alchemist. Maybe they're playing Goldshire Knolls. I don't know. It seems bad. Seems like a mistake.
I mean, some people think you have to try to pick the right one. They don't realize that you
Yeah.
can just like, if you figured out what it is, you don't actually need to take it.
I am fairly confident that I would pick it out of the intuitively if I thought that's what they took, and then afterwards it'd be like, ah, shit.
Oh, why did I do that? Yeah.
Yeah. Seems very plausible that I would end up doing that. All right.
Or maybe they guessed wrong, and they thought that you took something else.
So the old double mistake.
That doesn't seem.
Well, because like, why would you take wildfire? It's too obvious.
Honestly, I would see it and go, well, that's useless for me. I only ever take one of these other things.
That's the correct
Because
thing to do.
If it's not good for me, I don't want it.
They were not Kresh. I asked if they were playing the Demon Seed. No Demon Seeding.
I went a little too hard on the last Steam sale.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Did you get anything good?
Castlevania Lords of Shadow 1 and 2.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's a demo that I need to try that I downloaded. I haven't gotten to try it yet, called Romancylvania.
What?
Which is apparently it's being described as Hades mixed with Castlevania mixed with a dating sim.
Sounds like Boyfriend Dungeon.
It kind of does, except I guess you're Dracula, and then his wife leaves him, and then he sits on a throne for 100 years, and then death coaxes him out to like a party or something, and then turns out, no, you're actually on this dating show, and you're gonna need to go through it in order to get out. And so he's and then like the different like suitors are also partners like in the platforming, and then you have to like vote one of them off at the end of every level.
This game seems fairly horny.
Well, I mean, yes, but
I need to be way more realistic with my time. Because you can only play so many JRPGs with limited time, or like cyberpunk style games, right? When am I going to play cyberpunk if I also intend to play Elden Ring?
Here's
and,
a rule.
Ghost of Tsushima?
Here's a rule you can follow. Only buy roguelikes. Not a roguelike, probably don't buy it. There's
if you're gonna get a JRPG, get it for the Switch where you can play it on the couch.
There was an awesome roguelike that I found that let's see here, how much is this? It is $6. It's called Shotgun King: The Final Checkmate, where you play as the Black King. All of your pieces have deserted you, so instead you have a shotgun. And it's a roguelike where you are playing chess, except you have a shotgun, and it's like a grid-based it's a grid-based roguelike.
Hilarious.
Beat a run in like 35 minutes. There's more content here, but I also don't need more out of the game for how much I paid for it, but it's there. Right? You can buy that and then be done with the game by the end of that day, and then come back to it someday if you feel like it. And your time and money has been well spent. It has a demo. It's a fun game. You should try it. Really fun.
There was a JRPG roguelike at one point too that was on Game Pass, and I forgot what it was called.
There are probably a bunch of them.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I don't remember what it was called, and now it's not on Game Pass anymore. But
Let's
yeah.
see here. I don't know. Vivid Night?
No, it wasn't that. It was like sci-fi. Oh god, this is gonna bother me now.
Sci-fi.
Talk to me in 2 years and see if I have finished Scarlet Nexus and or Code Vein. Let's.
Oh, I didn't. Well, you would like Code Vein. I didn't like Code Vein, but then I'm not going to play that kind of game anyway.
I mean, Code Vein is like Weeby Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also a very horny game. Extremely
Really?
horny.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
look, You said weeby. That's goes with the territory half the time.
Yeah. It's
Star Renegade. That's the name of the game. Star Renegades.
Oh, I also picked up something called The Dishwasher Vampire Smile.
Okay.
Why did I pick this up? I don't know. It was well reviewed.
I installed Skyrim again for some reason. So
The Dishwasher Vampire Smile is a combo-fueled, fast-paced, stylistic 2D action platformer that features the series' staple gritty, graphic novel-inspired art style built on a new engine that allows for an even more visually gruesome experience. Okay.
okay. Were you just like in a fugue state on and your credit card was out, or what happened there?
I don't know. They were very, very much on sale.
well,
yeah.
buy Shotgun King or try the demo. It's you play chess and you have a shotgun. If that sounds fun, it is. It is.
Now you'll have Angel with a shotgun stuck in my head.
Yeah. Ponberarian is good. Is pretty good too.
I have that on mobile. Fun mobile game.
Yeah. Yeah. I nearly bought a commander deck on the Prime sale, and then by the time that I went to go buy it, it was sold out. So I saved myself from that, I guess. But yeah, it was like $22 for like a $45 deck. I'm like, oh, I should get this, and then I went to meetings, and I came out of meetings, and it was gone.
Yeah. And then your opportunity shriveled up.
Yes, exactly.
All right. I'm going to bring the stream down now. Stream, thanks for hanging out. Let's talk about roguelikes.
Bye,
I do recommend
friends.
Shotgun King. It's a fun game. I linked it in the chat. We'll see y'all next week.